Hi, welcome to Ladies of Another View on Beck. And with us here today, we have Mark Jorritsma, President and Executive Director of Family Policy Alliance of North Dakota. And we also have with us Carmen and Andrea. Just for a minute, I'm like, this never happens to me. Andrea, Carmen, and Patti. I remembered my name. You know what? I was in Mexico, and so I'm just still acclimating, being back. And as a matter of fact, we're going to talk with Mark for a couple segments because there is a lot to talk about. And stay with us, though, because I'm going to share with you one of the most amazing experiences I had in my life in Mexico. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Right now, I just want to thank you, Mark, for coming to the show.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here.
I'm so excited. You're going to talk about the scorecard. We need scorecards for our legislatures. We don't, we try to know what's going on, but it's a challenge. Why don't you start by telling us, what does the Family Alliance do?
Family Policy Alliance of North Dakota is a Christian organization, and we are pro-family, pro-life, and our vision for North Dakota is a state where God is honored and religious freedom flourishes, families thrive, and life is cherished. There it is in a nutshell.
Right, right.
As it should be. And you pay attention to the bills, and I suppose you do some lobbying, right?
Absolutely, yes. This past session, there were 900 bills, and we go through each one.
Did I hear you correctly, 900?
900,
Okay.
and that was actually lower than past sessions.
Wow.
And there are 900 bills, and we go through each one, we read each bill, and see if there's something related to the topics that fall under our umbrella.
What was some of the legislation that you really put a lot of energy into that was important to North Dakotans?
Well, one was certainly the Girls Fairness in Sports Act, which got a lot of press, as you might imagine, and that was a hard-fought battle. Unfortunately, it was vetoed by Governor Burgum. It was not overturned. It was overturned by the House, his veto, but not by the Senate. So the bill went down to defeat, which is unfortunate because 30 states actually introduced similar legislation, and I know at least 8 of them passed it. And the Department of Education, I believe it was yesterday, just issued a mandate or an interpretation that sex basically means gender. And they put that out there for public schools. And now what do we do? Because we don't have a law.
That's at the federal level they put that out? That's not a surprise.
Yeah, no,
Right.
From the Biden administration, it's not. It was a matter of time. And so we tried to prepare by putting laws like this in place, like the other states, but we don't have it, unfortunately. We don't have that buffer right now.
When you say that the Senate couldn't override the veto, do you know off the top of your head how many Senate votes were needed to overturn it?
Yeah, what you need is a 2/3 majority. And it would have had to be 34, I think, something like that.
I was going to say right around there.
And so the first vote was 29 in favor. When we went back to have it overturned, it basically stayed the same. So we would have needed 5 senators basically to flip to the other side, and it didn't happen. So it was a long shot. Getting a 2/3 majority, especially in the Senate, is tough because you have 47 senators.
Right, correct. But just for our viewers, when you look at the percentage or first of all, you look at the party platforms for the Democrat Party and for the Republican Party, and the platforms themselves would say that based on the percentage of senators that are Republican, there shouldn't have been a problem, correct?
Correct. We have Republican supermajorities in both chambers.
Correct.
So if you go by the letter behind their name, shouldn't have been a problem if they were following the platform.
Right. And so too many times I think the platform becomes just a moot point that some years I say, why do you even bother having a platform if nobody reads it or follows it? It doesn't make sense to me. But I'm kind of getting on a different tangent. I'm sorry, but it is disheartening. Yeah. It's very disheartening, especially for bills like this.
Yes.
But that's why you put together a scorecard.
Precisely. It's to hold legislators accountable for their votes. If they're Republican or they're Democrat, they basically say, we're going to uphold our platform. And their constituents expect them to do just that. They elected them to do just that. And so they need to know how they voted on some of these pro-life and pro-family bills. Did you uphold the platform, or did you just kind of go your own way on this particular bill? And call them to the carpet if they didn't vote the way they should have.
I have to say, the Girls' Fairness in Sports bill was my biggest disappointment because it passed. And then it passed again in the House.
Yes.
And other states are passing and signing. I know Florida and other states have done this. And it's about fairness. It's just about fairness in sports, not about discrimination, because these poor girls who work hard and then they have to compete on an unfair, unlevel playing field. When someone was born a boy, they're going to be stronger and faster and quicker just naturally. So that one upsets me the most. But let's talk about, Andrea talked about the scorecard.
Yes.
Explain what that is, because I think it's genius and everybody should take a look and look at these scorecards.
Well, thank you for calling it genius. It wasn't my idea, but thank you. The scorecard essentially takes a select number of bills, 7 actually, and 7 key bills, and it evaluates every single legislator, all 141, and shows how they voted on that particular bill. So if they voted, quote unquote, in a way that supports pro-family and pro-life values, they get a green check. If they voted in a way that does not support it, they get a red X. And then what we do is we tally them across that particular legislator's row, and we give them a combined score.
What I love about, if you go to your website, tell me your website, I don't have it in front of me.
Sure, it's FPA, so Family Policy Alliance of OFND.com.
Okay, we will put that up again in the show. But what I love is when you go to your website, you explain, like somebody might go, wait a minute, what was this House bill? But you explain all the bills. So everybody will know, if you're wondering, like, wait a minute, what was that bill? Go up and look. And then you show how they voted, and you have family values, pro-God values, and so you can take a look, because it's overwhelming. You said 900 bills. We can't keep track of all that, but apparently you can. You can do it for us, right?
I try. I try. I don't know how successful I always am, but yeah, we try and watch the bills. There are obviously a lot, because we're Family Policy Alliance. In some way, you can tie every bill to the family, right? But so we have to be somewhat selective. But yeah, we choose a subset for the scorecards, the most important ones, right? The most important ones that affect the family, that affect life issues, and so on. And the scorecard is really nice because it synthesizes 4 months of legislative work. And there's a lot that happens in those 4 months. Lots of back and forth, lots of negotiating and so on, lots of in-the-weeds stuff, which frankly, the average person doesn't need to know. They need to know the outcome, right? They need to know how their legislators voted. That's what they're interested in. And that's what we try and show with the scorecard.
They need to know how they did, and so next time they're voting, they can say, well, wait a minute, they have an R next to their name, but what about this? But we're going to talk more about the scorecard and what we should make of it when we come back right after these messages with Ladies of Another View on Back.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
If you don't know what's going on in education in this country, then you don't know what's going to happen in the future of this country. And it's important. I'm Dr. Duke.
And I'm Katie.
Watch the Dr. Duke Show weekdays at 4 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after-hours oasis of sanity.
How can these people not see that they're just clowns?
We help simplify and educate you on things going on in the legislature and around the country.
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
But also having Lee Stack and Sid and Marty Croft stuff, and we've talked about that sometimes. It's bad.
Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after a fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Hi, welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. And we are once again joined by Mark Jorritsma. Did I say your name correctly?
Close enough.
Okay, I did, and I was practicing.
He's been called worse.
Yeah, I have been called much worse.
It's all about the accent, right?
It is.
So,
yes.
anyways, whatever you want to call him, he is the founder and president of the Family Policy Alliance of North Dakota.
Correct.
Correct. And we actually, this is really cutting edge news because the scorecard is hot off the press, just released today. And I really encourage you to go to their website and take a look. It really gives a grade. It explains all the different legislation, the successes, the failures, and how your representatives did when it comes to voting family and God issues. So you go to FPA, OFND, so FPA of North Dakota.com. You can see it up on the screen, and you can go /scorecard if you want to get right to the scorecard.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
All right.
So you whittled 900 bills down to 7. Why'd you pick these 7 for the scorecard?
That's a really good question. And that was not an easy process, I'll be honest with you.
Of course not.
The 900, we first had to whittle down to those that we would focus on. And so it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 50. And then we continued to narrow that because we just don't have the resources to spread ourselves, much thinner. And these bills represent a cross-cut, if you will, on life bills, religious freedom bills, family bills. The things that I said earlier are part of our vision statement. So they tried to touch each one of those pieces. So that's how we chose these 7. There are many more bills that we were interested in, and people are obviously more than welcome to go to the legislative site and see the work we did. You can watch our testimony.
Sure. And I assume that some of the bills that you lobbied in support of or opposition to, the whole board was red or the whole board was green.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So then that doesn't impact a score very much, does it? If they're all voting the same way, then there's no differentiation. You throw those out. But you're not left with 7. So yeah, whittling down, that would have been quite the process to get down to just those 7. For those bills, for those votes, for those 7 bills, was it the final vote on each of those?
Yeah, it was, and that's actually a really good point because on the Girls Fairness in Sports bill, it went through many, many iterations. And what we did is we took the final vote, which would have overturned the governor's veto. That was the vote we actually used because that was the last chance they had to decide, yes, we're going to send this through and make it a law in the Century Code, or we don't. And so we would always take the last the last vote any chamber would make on a particular bill.
Having done some scorecards in the past, sometimes that pivotal vote isn't at the end. And I think with the ones that you chose, it was. But that can be a challenge too when you're looking at scorecards by your organization or any organization, is taking a look and understanding exactly what it is that counted. Because your legislator might come and say, well, I voted for the amendment, but then when they changed it, then I wouldn't vote for it. So when you go to your legislator to ask them how they voted on that bill, what would you say to a legislator who said, well, I voted on it right, or the way they wanted me to the first couple times, but that last time I couldn't do it?
I think the thing you need to ask is obviously why,
Right.
in a general sense. But what usually sways them one way or the other was exactly what you were talking about, an amendment that gets tacked on at the last minute. So maybe it's a great bill, but an amendment gets tacked on and all of a sudden it turns into a bad bill, right?
Sure.
And that may be justification. That may make sense to then not vote for it or vice versa. But you may not necessarily know that without talking to your legislator. We do know that because we're the watchdogs there representing you. And so that's why the green and the red marks reflect the actual intent of the bill after all these amendments and so on have been put on it.
So the final vote that they had on the bill is what they're seeing on the scorecard?
With all amendments, and the thing that was, yes, final, was it truly pro-family or was it not pro-family? Regardless of what it was 10, 20 days before that. Because they changed dramatically.
So, and I think this discussion brings up an interesting point too. When you start out with a bill and you say, absolutely, we're for this bill, and then you see it get butchered and just pasted and cut and snapped and all the things, do you ever then at some point in the process say, you know what, we can't back this bill anymore? Do you ever flip like that?
Very rarely.
Okay.
Very rarely. Usually what happens, we're more than willing to do that because we're going to testify in a way that's consistent with the values of our organization and our ministry partners that we represent. But usually what happens is an amendment will be put on and it will just kill it. And a good bill, for instance. And so we don't typically have to go and flip the other way. But we're more than willing to do that. We're going to stand for the same values, and if that bill turns into a bad bill, we're going to then testify against it. Absolutely.
Okay.
So as a voter, taking a look at the list of bills that you supported and opposed, there's one on your list that I disagree with.
Uh-oh.
So House Bill 1420, which was to legalize recreational marijuana in the state of North Dakota, and I am in support of legalizing recreational marijuana, surprise. But you're opposed to it, and I think that the important point is I, as a voter, or the other voters, need to be good consumers and read the fine print for scorecards like these and say, thank you for doing the work of evaluating and taking a look at those bills and taking a look at those votes and finding that crucial point and figuring out whether it's support or oppose. But it's my job then to read your notes and say, okay, do I agree with your decision to rate this as green or rate this vote as red? And not just your scorecard, but anyone's, because the NRA puts out their own, they use a graded system instead. Other organizations put out scorecards too, and you might have a legislator who scores really well with one organization and poorly with another, and you have to know which organizations to trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
But still pay attention to those details, and I'm glad that you provide those in your scorecard that you report.
Thank you.
Right, I mean, it makes sense. And I like what Andrea is saying because she agrees with all but one. And so she can actually see how they voted on everything. So she can decide who best aligns with her values. And basically, you agree on everything else.
Yep.
But yeah, it's not just a score, like where it's attached.
Yeah.
To what they actually did. I want to talk about some of these low scores. I don't know if I should say their names.
Are we naming names at this point?
I don't know. Should we?
Do it.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay. Well, because they voted how they voted, and
Yeah,
so
skip down to the low scores.
These are just facts.
These are I circled 3 scores here. Emily O'Brien 14%. Mary Johnson, 29%, and Shannon Roars Jones, 14%. And so you would think, well, they're Republican, so I can vote for them, but maybe you don't want to. Sometimes the Democrats have higher scores than some of the Republicans. And so you have to really look and think. I mean, some Democrats have 0%, so I guess we wouldn't have much in common with them. But okay, well, this is fantastic. I really encourage everybody to go to your website and take a look at the scorecards. There you go. Family Policy Alliance of North Dakota. Take a look, /scorecard to get to the scorecard. Thank you, Mark, for joining us. I'm sure we'll have you on again sometime.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for your interest in the scorecards, and hopefully they help voters out there make wise decisions.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I really applaud you for doing this. And we'll be right back, and we're going to go to Chalco, Mexico, see some of my vacation that's a little out of the ordinary. When we come back with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Hop in the rig and go down the road with me. We'll cover local and national stories that impact you. What happens with national debt? Does anybody even care anymore? Do you think Governor Burgum truly understands the legislative process?
You know, I think he's got a better understanding now than he did 2 years ago.
Why in the world are we having a conversation about being anti-vaccination? Down the road with Joel Heitkamp weekdays at 5:30 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Ever been in a cave before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the car! How will we? The car! Your offer has been accepted. Ever bought a house before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the closing. But how will we? The closing!
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, and we're going to do something a little different here. My husband and I celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary in Mexico. We went to the Our Lady of Guadalupe Shrine and had our marriage blast because after 40 years, we want to keep going strong there. But we visited Girls Town. They have a Boys and Girls Town in 7 different countries. This one in Chalco, Mexico. Sister Martha and Sister Gemma took us around, came and got us and took us all around. And it is the most amazing place I have ever been to. It's home to 3,200 girls, ages 11 to 18. And they go out 2 by 2 on buses, and they go out into the poorest parts of the town. A lot of times the girls that are in the schools will help tell them, well, this family, you know, might be interested. And they, it was founded in 1991 by Monsignor Al Schwartz, and it's one of 7 places in the world. The requirements for entry is there has to already be 2 other children in the family, so they don't just take somebody's only child. A lot of them are being saved from human trafficking. Some have already been sold, and one uncle just recently brought a girl, got her out of human trafficking and brought her to the school, and they have to pass a test. They start 11 to 14 years old, and there's about 50 Sisters of Mary, Virgin of the Poor, and they're graduates of the school. There's 5 different universities that give these girls scholarships, or they can go to trade schools, because what they found out is if they just go back, you know, graduate and they're back out on the street at 18 years old, a lot of times they get they become very poor, they don't quite make it, or they get stuck in human trafficking. Anyways, let's just take a look at this segment, and I won't say anything more.
So we're here in Chalco.
Gracias, muchas. Gracias, gracias. Oh, gracias, gracias. Mucho gusto. That's it. Yeah, here, hold it up.
Work it in the corn.
Hi, I'm here in Mexico, in Chalco, Mexico, with the Sisters of Mary, and on my left I have Sister Gemma.
Hello.
And over here we have Sister Martha. Words cannot describe. We're halfway through a visit today. It's our my husband and Mark and I, our 40th anniversary, and this has been overwhelming. Over almost 3,200 girls singing to us. And tell me, what is the name of the school?
The Sisters of Mary Girls Town.
And these are 2 graduates of the Sisters of Mary School. There are 400 sisters, and you are in 7 countries, right?
Yeah, we are in 7 countries with 400 sisters.
And of those sisters, how many of them actually went to the school?
Actually,
I think from America Latina, most of the sisters are graduates. Maybe 90% of the sisters are graduates or more.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And tell me about the school. Why does the school exist?
Because of the needs of the children. Many children are not studying anymore because they don't have ways to study. Their families are very poor. And the sisters, we are trying to help them, and we also form them as a good Catholic to live their faith.
And Sister Gemma, you mentioned that you go out 2 by 2 into the poor areas of Mexico, right?
Yes.
And you are trying to protect them. And what else? Like, when they leave here, what can they expect?
Actually, we are trying to give them opportunity to take some scholarships, or we're having some schools to help them to give scholarship, and they took the exam, and with that it helps them a lot to continue their studies in college.
Well, speaking of continuing their studies, we've already met some postgraduates. One's a dentist now.
Yes.
Who comes here and works in the infirmary. Many teachers.
We have many teachers graduates from here.
And do some go on to become doctors?
Yes, we have doctors also. Different. They study different things, but we have doctors.
And a big reason is you're trying to protect a lot of these children from human trafficking, also, right?
Yes.
Which is a real threat from where they live, and I know you told me on the way in here that one girl, her uncle got her away, she had already been sold into human trafficking. And yet all we see is joy and smiles. So yeah, it's just overwhelming. And your vocation is what? What is your role as a sister?
So our role as a mother for the children, to take care of them, to help them in their studies, and to give them whatever they need for the schooling. So
one thing that has impressed me so much is that some of these girls are world-class athletes. You won field hockey, the world or the state?
The
national championship 4 years in a row, was it? Or?
Yes, 4 years consecutive.
Right.
And the handball players also.
Handball and field hockey, they were national championships. And Gemma, you said that a lot of the schools see them coming and they think, they're going to be easy to beat.
Yes, they gotta be easy to lose the game because of their structure, the body structure. They're so small. But then the children tried hard to get it on. So they won the game, and the people were really shocked upon seeing that, even little can do something. Yes.
And I think you told me too that they're determined, right?
Yeah. There are times that they fail, they lose the game, and they really tried hard to train hard every day so that they could win the game, the next competition, for the next competition.
This is just an amazing place. I've never seen anything like it. And it's remarkable that you're in 7 different countries, right?
Yes.
And so, yeah, I will let people know how they can contribute and be a part of this amazing story of success, right? So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll return back to the studio. We had no idea they were going to sing for us.
Right.
And I was just overwhelmed and crying. It was like, the voices of angels. They were so beautiful. And then later, as our son Luke met us there from Guatemala, which is handy when you go to a Spanish-speaking country, because go with somebody who can speak Spanish, and that would be Luke. Mark gets along a little bit, but they grow their own food, which is delicious. They have fruits and vegetables. They learn taekwondo. They have swimming. They do every sport imaginable. And I forgot to point out, while I was interviewing those sisters, the clothing behind there is made by the girls. They learn sewing. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and tell you how you can learn more about these schools when we come back with Ladies of Another View on Back.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Hop in the rig and go down the road with me. We'll cover local and national stories that impact you. What happens with national debt? Does anybody even care anymore? Do you think Governor Burgum truly understands the legislative process?
I think he's got a better understanding now than he did 2 years ago.
Why in the world are we having a conversation about being anti-vaccination. Down the Road with Joel Heitkamp weekdays at 5:30 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you can get my premium MyPillows regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. And that was just a little glimpse of the school in, they call them boys and girls towns. And that one was in Chalco, Mexico. And they bake 7,000 loaves a day of bread. And the clothing that was behind the sisters, it was so elaborate. I wish I would have gotten some photos of it. But what they do there is amazing. And the joy, every time we turned a corner on our golf court, on our golf cart, they were laughing and smiling and waving to us. So you know it wasn't programmed. And the girls, they go back home and visit their families twice a year. And every once in a while, somebody doesn't come back because they're not forced to stay there. They're there. This is an opportunity for the girls. So they themselves choose that this is what they want to do. They're not forced to go there and held captive by any stretch of the imagination. But it really is an opportunity for them. And I would encourage people, if you want to learn more, go to worldvillages.org because I've just never seen anything like that, and how well run and joyful it is. And and about 90% of the sisters actually went to the school themselves too.
Right.
And feel that they were called to do that. And their vocation is to be mothers to these girls.
So are they tied then to some organization in the States as far as their funding and as far as their, do they have like a board of directors or anything? I don't know if you got into that piece, but just how are they structured so that, are the states connected to them, I guess?
You know, I don't know a lot of those answers. Father Dan Leary is from the Washington, D.C. area, and he oversees it now. We were in communication with him, so he made it possible for us to go and visit. And we went to an area where they have kind of a memorial wall thanking the people that have donated to them. And a lot of people will put them in their wills and help to finance it. So I didn't ask a lot of money questions, and there's probably more information on the website because they do rely on fundraising and donations, to run something like that. But when you think about, they've helped 150,000 children, I think. At any one time, I think there's 20,000 right now. They were looking at graduating 400 fourth-year students, and they were looking at bringing in another 1,000. So they can have as many as 4,000 on the campus, and they're at about 3,200 right now.
Wow. I noticed when you were showing the video at the end there when they were singing, when it was to the far right side, they had a little bit different uniform on. They had the white shirt with the darker blue skirt, and then the other ones were like a light blue shirt with a blue skirt. Were those like seniors or something? Or
Yes.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, good catch, Carmen. You got it.
I got it.
Can't pull one over Carmen. Yes, because they would say, oh, these are the younger, these are the first-year students, these are the second-year students, and they sew their own uniforms.
Oh, my goodness.
But when we were in Mexico City, which I really enjoyed, some of the most amazing food. You can go to a 5-star restaurant and pay 10 or 12 bucks for an elaborate meal. But when we were driving around in Mexico City with an Uber driver, there block after block after block of stores with textiles and fabrics. People make their own clothes there. And most of us have forgotten how. I used to make pillows and curtains. That was my best thing. Do either of you sew?
You missed it. I wore a dress that I sewed last week.
Well, wear it again, and we'll make note of that.
There you go.
I especially sewed when I was pregnant because I could never get pants long enough for when I was pregnant. And now everybody just wears regular clothes and just lets it all show, but we didn't do that back in the day. So that's when I sewed a lot. But,
right. Yeah.
I enjoy sewing. But do they have machines to sew, or is a lot of it hand sewing? Or?
No, they have machines. So they do hand sew. They hand wash their clothes. They learn taekwondo. They learn skills. Like, I want to go to this school. I could get a few courses and learn a few things.
Right.
They grow. When we were driving around after lunch, a lot of the girls were in their gardens. They have plots because they have like the first-year students and the second-year students. So they take a lot of pride in what they're doing. And we were able to pick fresh fruit off the trees.
Do they sell any of their foodstuffs then, or
I don't think so.
They keep it all for themselves just to feed their population?
Yes. Right. We had lunch with this delicious green type of squash soup. I don't know what it was, but I loved it. And fruits and vegetables and meat. I don't know, they must have gotten the meat from the local market. A lot of the teachers live in the area and then will come in as teachers. Right. And a lot of the teachers are former students that come back.
And you make me wonder, and a lot of these questions you may not know answers for, but I think about them being there and having the chance to get that education, and I don't know, what is Mexico's forte when it comes to education? Like here we have public schools, we fund from pre-K through 12th grade and on up with whatever, but do they have a system there, or is it just a gift that they actually get to go through high school?
I'm glad you asked that. Yes, they do have public education, but you know what, these sisters, what they have to do? They have to pay the government per student the equivalent of $20 a year in order to educate them. Can you believe it? No. Not only does the government not support them, they have to pay the government per student.
Well, we kind of have to too,
don't we?
I mean, our tax dollars pay the government.
Yes, and they have. I don't know all the tax.
No, but the teachers don't have to out of their pocket, but we do. Yeah.
But if you give a private education to a student, you don't have to pay the government in order to do that, but they do there.
Yeah.
So that adds to their expenses.
Sure, absolutely. Well, and $20 a year times 4,000, that's a chunk of change too.
Right, and I'm sure not all countries require that, but they do in Mexico.
So how'd you first hear about this place?
Well, Kevin Wells, who wrote a book. I know him through the writing world, and he wrote a book on Father Al Schwartz. As a matter of fact, we have, if you want to learn more about Father Al, Kevin Wells wrote the book Priest and Beggar, The Heroic Life of Venerable Aloysius Schwartz. He died of ALS. He died at Mexico. He never stopped working, and he started out in Korea, getting these kids out. He saw the poverty and the suffering with little toddlers on the street, and he said, we have to do something. And so if you, I don't know all the details. I haven't read the book yet, but I want to. I'm so inspired by him. He did not want any attention for himself, and that's why this is coming out after his death, and the mission is continuing. But he began in Korea, and then he moved to Mexico, and it works. What they're doing is work. It's very organized, very sophisticated, and these these kids' lives are changed. So they are breaking the poverty cycle, the cycle of poverty, and they're saying, stay in your country. You know, bloom where you're planted, where you were born. They're not saying, oh, go to the United States. I mean, we're here, we like it here.
Yeah.
So we're not knocking that, but you know, they want them to make their own countries stronger.
Right.
And make their own families stronger.
And I think we talked a little bit about him another show, in the fact that the beggar part, that he actually went out and begged for whatever he needed for these kids, because he didn't have you know, all the fundraising things
Right.
going on or anything like that. He just hit the streets or wherever to get funds to feed, clothe, shelter the kids, right?
Right, he begged for them, and so it's amazing that they have been able to get the donors, but I think people hear about it and see about it word of mouth, and there's just people wanting to help, and they have, and some people write about, you see them and they write them in their will and say, I want to give my estate to this, you know, because the money is well spent, you know, you give it to the sisters. There's not somebody grabbing the money and taking their cut.
Right, right, yeah.
So it's going to them.
Pretty amazing. And do any of those girls, I wonder, a lot of them go out then, like employers, are they looking for the girls? Like, I mean, do they get it sounds like they get a quality education. Maybe they're more employable than, say, some of the kids that aren't in a structured environment like that?
Hard workers, well educated. So I don't know about the job part. I know they added the university and trade school when they realized, hey, they need more than just a high school education. So anyways, I'm gonna leave you with some of their song, and we'll be back after these messages with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Deciding how to promote your business can be hard. Visit the professionals at Dakota Promotions and Printing and let them help you through your struggle. Dakota Promotions provides promotional items and apparel, from corporate gifts to team shirts and everything in between. With quick turnaround times and friendly service, they are your best choice. And best yet, you're shopping local. Visit them online at dakotapromo.com or stop in their showroom at 320 West Main in Mandan. Dakota Promotions, delivering promotions just for you.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after a fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Hey Bucks fans,
If you're planning an outing, birthday, or employee appreciation night, then bring your group out to the Buck Stop for a night of fast-paced, high-scoring football. Your group will receive discounted tickets, options for reserved seating, scoreboard messages, VIP services, swag, and a space to gather during the game. You can also participate in pre-game ceremonies, halftime entertainment, in-game contests, and more. Call 701-595-0771 or visit bismarckbucks.com/tickets. All GA is first come, first serve. We'll see you on the turf. Go Bucks.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after-hours oasis of sanity.
How can these people not see that they're just clowns?
We help simplify and educate you on things going on in the legislature and around the country.
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
But also having Lee Stack and Sid and Marty Croft stuff, and we've talked about that sometimes. It's bad.
Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. We are already at the lighter side, so we're going to be light now. It was pretty light the whole show.
It was. It was a good show.
Yeah.
Lots of
it
good
was
stuff.
fun. Have any of you? Okay, it's time to do something, Andrea. Someone's calling you. I don't know which.
There's only one person who can call through my Do Not Disturb, and it's my mother, and she never, ever calls. I'm going to have to call her back.
Well, hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
I hope she's watching today.
Moms are like that sometimes.
They are.
Yeah,
they are.
yeah.
They surprise you.
Moms they can get through anything, right?
That's right. That's right. They did it when we were kids. They do it when we're adults.
That's right.
Nothing's going to stop them. So, getting to the lighter side, have either of you ever waited tables, worked as a waiter?
Absolutely.
Me too.
Definitely no.
Okay. Well, you might be jealous after you watch this. Let's take a look.
Customers stopped into the Stumble Inn Bar and Grill in Londonderry and ordered up a couple chili cheese dogs, fried pickle chips, and drinks. The tab with tax, $37.93, before he added a $16,000 tip. At first, the staff didn't even notice it.
It was on the credit card statement. They put it down next to the register. And he said for 3 times, don't spend it all in one place. That's what made her flip it over and look. And she's like, oh my God, are you serious? And he's like, I want you to have it. You guys work hard.
The 8 bartenders working contacted the owner.
Thought it was a mistake. Could have been like maybe $160 tip, and he added extra zeros. And the bar manager talked to the gentleman, and he said, no, it's $16,000.
The big tipper wants to stay anonymous. We're told he's not a regular.
He just said that they deserve it. They work very hard.
The Stumble Inn closed a few months during the pandemic, adjusted with takeout and outdoor dining. Like so many restaurants, it was a challenge for the staff, and they're paying it forward to their fellow employees in the back of the house.
The back of the house works really hard, the kitchen. They're giving them a big tip out of that, which is very generous of them too.
The owner says every tip is appreciated, but this one is the biggest in the history of the Stumble Inn.
Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe to date, maybe there'll be a bigger one for the staff. Who knows?
Wow. Can you imagine? You would think, no, there has to be a mistake.
I don't know. I've always aspired to be the person who tips on the generous side. This has got me going, well, that's not likely to happen anytime soon.
Wouldn't it be fun if you won
Someday,
the lottery?
maybe.
You have to buy a lottery ticket first, and we don't always do that. But
Right.
If you were rich, wouldn't it be fun to do things like that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The problem is I'd want to leave it in cash because I don't want them to have to pay the stupid taxes on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Right.
No,
Oof.
yeah, that's a downside of this lighter side
Oh, well.
moment.
That's okay.
You do have to pay taxes on your tips these days.
Well, and you
You're
know,
supposed to.
I did, my first job was at a cafe slopping beans for a big town all-school reunion celebration. It was for celebrating the anniversary of the town, and I was a whopping 7th grade summer, I think, or 8th grade. But and I got a Social Security card number and everything so that I could do that job. It was really exciting. But that was the start, and then I did work as a server several times just because it was such a good way to supplement whatever else I was making for my regular job. And I'll never forget from that, and then it does something to people, and I can tell you that many times I would receive a tip from people that would look like they were out for maybe 2 meals a year. You know,
Sure.
this was a big treat for them. And they would be some of the best tippers. You know, the people that would come in all the time or they eat out a lot or something, you know, they really don't. But I think things have kind of changed too in the communities as far as it used to be if you didn't give good service, you didn't deserve a tip. And now it's kind of gotten to be, oh, well, you must tip. You must give them something.
Get those
Yeah,
participation awards. Still,
right,
yeah.
you know, and so I still do, but there are times that I will personally, you know, just really praise that server because the ones that are good, boy, they work hard and they care that people get good service and get good food. And, you know, and I've watched servers get beat up because the steak was cold or it wasn't done right or the, you know, the burger was bad or I don't care. And it's like the server really can't do anything about that, but the servers that will cover for their cooks and say, I'm so sorry and we'll make it right, and they don't get upset about it and they do whatever they can to take care of that customer, they deserve a big tip because they didn't cook it. They didn't have any control over that, you know. And then I've also noticed that, you know, one time there was this guy and he was probably in his 90s and he came in by himself and I think his bill came to $12 and something. And he left me a $20 tip and he left it in cash. And I ran after him. It's like, you can't afford this. You need to. He said, no, I want you to have it. And, you know, I can't tell you what that means to servers who are working sometimes 2 and 3 jobs.
I waited tables for 6 years and I paid my way through college. I paid my own rent and my car and everything. And a lot of our kids have worked as servers. We still, you know, some still do. Working their way through school, but you really run and work hard, and it's a window to human nature. You know, like some people are kind and nice, and some people aren't. They're just nasty to you.
Exactly.
So you learn a lot.
Yes, you do. Some of my best life lessons are serving tables, or serving people at tables. Sorry.
Right. So I guess we can go out and tip a little more for those hard workers and. It's a good life in some ways. It's nice that you have that opportunity to work for your money and give good service. But anyway,
thank you for tipping.
Yes. So
we all should.
Stay tuned for On the Road with Joel Heickamp coming up next, and join us again tomorrow with Ladies of Another View on Beck.